Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Erica tops this newscast. According to the National Weather Service, the more significant rainfall is expected overnight, Thursday to Friday. The center of circulation of the storm is forecast to be just northeast of the U.S. Virgin Islands at around 8 p.m. tonight. The highest sustained winds on the island will occur at 7 p.m. when wind speeds are expected to reach 45 miles per hour. On St. John, 58 miles per hour sustained winds are expected from 7 to 9 p.m. and 39 miles per hour winds will continue until 2 a.m. Friday. On St. Thomas, the 58 miles per hour sustained winds will also arrive at 7 p.m. and continue for 2 hours. 39 miles per hour winds will continue until 3 a.m. Friday. Erica is expected to produce total rain accumulations of 3 to 5 inches with maximum amounts of 8 inches. For marine conditions, 10 to 15 feet with occasional seas up to 19 feet, winds between 30 and 45 with higher gusts, mainly in squalls. Well, the Virgin Islands Emergency Management Agency is certainly continuing to keep a close eye on the storm. News 2's April Knight was on the scene to give us a peek into Vaitima's storm operations.
We're in the Emergency Operations Center of Vaitima, where the agency is monitoring the progress of Tropical Storm Erica. All branches of government are represented here. All 3 EOCs on all 3 islands were opened, partially opened yesterday at 4 p.m. and today at 6 a.m. they were fully opened. Now we have Irvin Mason, who's the training director for Vaitima, tell us a little bit more about what the EOC is doing as they track the progress of the tropical storm.
Different ESF, emergency office function from the different parts of the government comes in, like public works, property and procurement, human services. What they do, they send a representative here to monitor the storm. Right now, we've been here from 6 o'clock this morning. We've been active with the EOC from 6 o'clock this morning, so we come in here to monitor the storm. Okay, wait for his arrival if anything happens. So if we need any type of first responder, if we don't type of responding, the first responder will call back here to make sure that we have the resources and everything like that. So basically what we're doing right now is just monitoring the storm.
Vaitima's federal counterpart, FEMA, was also camped in the building. They tell us about their operations in the territory during the tropical storm.
Our IMAT is an incident management assistance team, and we have one over on St. Croix and a team here. Mm-hmm. And our pre-designated federal coordinating officer, Bill Vogel, is over on St. Croix with the Vaitima director and the governor. Operations Center in New York is activated, and we have teams deployed here at St. Thomas to St. Croix and liaisons on St. John. We're working closely with Vaitima and our counterparts in various agencies of the Virgin Islands to prepare for the storm and be here to be ready to support them in any way we can.
Well, residents can rest assured that in case of emergencies during this storm, emergency responders at the 911 Operations Center are also ready to take your calls. According to 911, their staff is 100% on board before, during, and after Erica's visit.
We're totally prepared because it's just a tropical storm. We have our normal staffing in. We also have our squad leaders and myself who are on call, so we're pretty much prepared. If there's like flooding or trees and boulders down, yeah, we do get calls. We're gonna get a lot of 911 calls. Actually, we've been having a lot of calls regarding trees down, and so we've been working with Public Works to get that fixed.
We also caught up with WAPA CEO Hugo Hodge, who explained what the team is doing and a reminder that the tree strike rule will be in effect. Here's more.
Well, we just want to make sure everybody, first and foremost, stays safe. If you down power lines, please call the utility. Between us and Innovative, let us sort it out. Anything on the ground that's live, on the ground should be assumed to be live. We are ready to respond to anything that happens. The storm, we see it slow down, get to us a little bit later this evening, which means it's probably going to take a little longer to pass us as well. So we are prepared. I'll probably stand the guys down when it gets in the heart of it, and we'll get down inside the plant and start our plan and preparation for how we get out for assessment shortly thereafter. So we will utilize the three-strike rule. Three-strike rule meaning that we'll allow the system to stay on and energized with the generation running. And as far as the transmission and distribution in the field, if they have some reclosing function. So if a limb hits a line, we expect that it will reclose and clear. If it goes 3 times and doesn't clear, that means there's a fault that won't clear itself. That will need line crew assistance, so we'll let that stay out. But we have coordination and protection that will allow that to be reduced to sections of the system and not entire feeders, and only entire feeders when it affects the backbone of the feeder. We do expect, because of the drought conditions that have existed for the last several months, that a lot of trees are brittle. They haven't been getting the water they need for their nourishment, so we expect that there'll be a lot of limbs breaking and possibly trees coming down and maybe over power lines and roadways. So I urge everyone to stay at home if at all possible and look out for down trees and down power lines. We're ready to go. We have material. The guys are ready to respond. They're in there right now. Our tree trimming crews have been out the entire week doing additional trimming in problem areas, and we're ready to respond. So, as usual, the Water and Power Authority, we work for you, and we work hard, and we'll continue to do so.
Now, Innovative reminds customers that in the event of severe weather, keep these few tips in mind. Customers should refrain from moving or cutting down lines on their property or in the vicinity of their homes, just as Hugo Hodge just explained, because they may be active power lines, telephone lines, or cable TV lines. For customers who are on the new EVO network during a commercial power outage, the EMTA battery backup for the telephone will last up to 6 hours of talk time. CEO's Sean O'Donnell said the Innovative is encouraging every customer to use the telephone service during these times on an as-needed basis. Well, shelters across the territory opened yesterday in preparation for the storm. Officials urge anyone who might be elderly or alone or people who live in areas it could be potentially dangerous to get to a shelter. Again, that's Julia Sproul and Guy Benjamin on St. John, Newt Hansen on St. Thomas, and Herbert Grigg on St. Croix. NEWS2's Erica Parsons was at the St. Croix shelter.
Sandy, it doesn't look like much out here right now. We can see the sun shining. We've had a few showers here and there, but forecasts tell us that it is expected to pick up later this afternoon into the evening, and overnight we're going to expect a lot of wind, a lot of rain. And I don't know if you can see over my shoulder, but that's the Curriculum Center behind me. They're closed like many of the government agencies. We see that they have some sandbags covering the doors, so they're expecting some flooding. They're expecting some rain. They're prepared for the heavy rains. We talked to one of the shelter managers here, or actually 2 shelter managers at one of the St. Croix shelters, and they are expecting to receive more people. They don't have a lot of people right now, but they expect, or they anticipate, that more people will actually be coming later this afternoon. Government offices closed, storm shutters on businesses, and residents making last-minute purchases.
Mostly just comfort food. Yesterday we did, water and gas and, light.
The shelters opened Wednesday. On St. Croix, only 3 people so far.
We're anticipating more because we're seeing that the storm's supposed to be hitting a little bit later on this afternoon, so we're expecting more rain. So the shelter will be open. When you come to the shelter, the first thing that we ask you to do is pack and prepare a form of meal, something that will last for the next 24 hours. If you have any medications, make sure you walk with your medications.
The shelters are also equipped to take pets once they are caged.
When you prepare your pet, your companion to bring to the shelter, make sure you bring with you whatever necessity for your pet, cat or dog.
Shelters for people with special needs also opened Wednesday. Charles Harwood on St. Croix and Roy Schneider Hospital on St. Thomas.
We have people that don't have anyone that's living in the house with them. They take medications, their homes probably, the roof leaks or whatever. It'll be best if you come to the shelter where you can be monitored. We have a nurse on site.
Erica Parsons, NEWS2.
Again, that was earlier this morning. The Newt Hansen Red Cross Shelter on St. Thomas have been open and ready to receive residents looking for a safe and secure space to escape any high winds and rising waters that Erica may bring with her. Since 6 p.m. Wednesday evening, the hospital ground location is staffed with volunteers and officials from the Red Cross and Human Services, and fully stocked with provisions with space that will hold up to 50 residents. At any point during the storm, they're ready to provide safe, secure, comfortable accommodations.
We can hold at least 30, possibly 50 residents. Some of our residents are individuals who are homeless. We also have individuals from the community who are from low-lying areas. We also can accommodate children and families. We ask that they come with those little needs that they may have, especially if there's medication or other needs. We also can accommodate pets at this site. If the concern comes that, well, maybe it may not be safe in my home, it's recommended that you just come to the shelter. It's very comfortable. We also are able at least to make sure that they get meals and that they are well taken care of. We have a generator in this location, so they will be comfortable.
In other news, the West Indian Company Limited has updated its cruise ship schedule due to the weather conditions from the storm. Royal Caribbean's Adventure of the Seas has been canceled. That ship was expected to call on St. Thomas on Friday, August 28th. The original itinerary was changed. That was changed because of Hurricane Danny. Now, Adventure of the Seas will make its regularly scheduled call on Sunday, August 30th, arriving at 7:30 a.m. and departing at 5 p.m. Carnival Liberty will visit on Saturday, August 29th, arriving at 7 a.m., departing at 5. It was originally scheduled to visit St. Thomas on Monday, August 24th. And according to VI Port Authority, airports are still open. That was as of noontime Thursday, and that's until further notice. Again, there are no plans yet to close the airports on St. Thomas and St. Croix. The Coast Guard had scheduled Port Condition Zulu to take effect Wednesday midnight, which also means the temporary suspension of ferry service. According to the Coast Guard, after the storm passes, they'll have to assess any damage on the waterways, make sure the routes taken by ferries and other boaters are clear before they can lift the port condition. Here's some updated flight information. Liat, as we know, canceled all Thursday flights. Seabourn followed suit, although one flight from San Juan did arrive safely this morning on St. Thomas. JetBlue canceled all Thursday flights. American Airlines One did operate on Thursday morning flight, but canceled the two other flights later in the day. Delta and Spirit continue normal operations as of 11 a.m. Thursday. Cape Air canceled all Thursday flights. VIPA advises travelers to constantly check with your airlines. Coming up on News 2, some notices on cancellations and rescheduled events you need to know about. That's coming up. Welcome back. Well, the governor addressed the territory on Wednesday during a press conference and gave some updates, such as Waste Management Authority. Here is the latest. The inflow and infiltration of storm water into the sewer system may displace manhole covers, they say, and exceed the pumping capacity at the wastewater pump stations. Pedestrians and motorists are advised to proceed with caution when traversing flooded roadways where manhole covers may have been displaced by system overflows. During this rain event, until the rain and stormwater runoff subside, the sewer collection system may continue to be impacted. Residents are asked to report any overflows and displaced manhole covers to the Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority. Their numbers are 715-9100 on St. Thomas, 712-4962 on St. Croix. Well, DPNR anticipates negative environmental impacts as well caused by the stormwater runoff. DPNR advises the public to refrain from using the coastal waters throughout the territory until further notification. DPNR is also advising parents to instruct their children to keep away from stormwater impacted beaches, as well as areas with manholes and stormwater flooding. There may be an elevated health risk to anyone swimming in stormwater impacted areas as a result of increased concentrations of bacteria. Well, urging caution and sound preparation for the storm, Governor Mapp ordered government offices closed Thursday. Parents and territory school children will wait out the storm at home. All schools in both districts were closed on Thursday, closed today, including UVI. University staff and students have been urged to stay home Thursday and adequately prepare for the storm. The last ferries leaving Cruise Bay, St. John, and Red Hook, St. Thomas departed on Wednesday night at 11 p.m. and midnight, respectively. There will be no ferry transfers between St. Thomas and St. John today. As we mentioned before, the Coast Guard says weather conditions will determine when they reopen the ports for service. Storm chasers, be advised, all national parks and protected areas and facilities are officially closed and remain so until further notice. The National Parks Trust of the Virgin Islands will need time to assess any damage caused by the storm before giving residents and visitors the all clear to resume activities in the territory's protected areas. Judicial and legislative business is halted as well. The VI Superior Court was closed in both districts at 4 p.m. on Wednesday and remained closed today, Thursday. As a result, due process for defendants awaiting arraignments and advice of rights hearings are rescheduled beginning at 9 a.m. Friday morning. Residents with filing deadlines are still able to file documents via a secured lockbox at the entrance of the east wing of the Alexander Farrelly Justice Center on St. Thomas and on the first floor of the Amplet Leader Justice Complex on St. Croix. Private sector services are also impacted by Tropical Storm Erica. Banco Popular closed all branches in the USVI and British Virgin Islands on Thursday, though the ATMs remain operational. The Christiansted Boardwalk was empty for the most part, except for the popular restaurant Angry Nate's. Here's more.
Angry Nate's is motto 365. So we try to remain open at all times if we can up until the end. We don't know if we'll be open all day. Perhaps we may close early depending upon the winds. We're just waiting to hear. We've been fairly reasonably steady all season, especially considering looking forward to a new season coming up. And hopefully if anybody needs, last minute provisions at lunch or dinner, be sure to keep us in mind.
Vitima's director Mona Barnes shared her personal experience. She said those of us who remember past destructive hurricanes should learn from that experience, be prepared for the unexpected, even if it seems like a hurricane may not be a direct hit. Here's more.
I experienced Hurricane Hugo. I was actually a military police at the time in the Virgin Islands National Guard. And I also experienced Marilyn. I tell people all the time, when I came to St. Thomas after Marilyn, I was your human traffic light by Niski Center. I did that for 2 months as a military police. But during any significant storm, the key becomes, and I go back to it again, how well are you prepared? And I would say from Hurricane Hugo to Marilyn to Omar to now, there's so many things that has improved in Vitima, in FEMA as well, that I guarantee you it will not be the same outcome. Even the way we had to begin to build after Marilyn, there's a lot of great things that have happened that has prepared us going forward.
Also, we know of some of those storms where it looked like it was heading our way, but then they turned away, so people kind of, after anything happened after that, the preparations were not taken seriously just because it didn't happen.
Right, and we haven't had a significant hurricane event in 5 years. And again, that's why I will plead to the public to not get relaxed. Just go ahead and continue to prepare. It's better to be prepared and nothing happens as to not be prepared and then something happens. And I want to say, I want to speak for especially the first responders. And if I may go back a second, Sandra, when I spoke about the sheltering, it's very hard, and I experienced it, and that's why I will talk about it. After Hurricane Hugo, during the storm, I had to actually go out with a team to save a family in St. Croix in the Montbijou area. And it puts the first responders in a very critical position when people wait to after the storm has come to decide that they need to be sheltered. So I want to go back to that and just plead with the public. If you know that you're in an area where you're prone to flooding, please go to a shelter.
Great tips there. Be sure to tune in to News 2 throughout hurricane season for some more tips from Vitima. Well, stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.